guys, Tyler with Meeple Mountain here, bringing you another board game review. This time we're going to be looking at Shiver Me Timbers from our friends over at, I'm going to do my best here, it's Welflucht Verlag. They're a new company, a new partnership that we have at Meeple Mountain, and we're excited to showcase this really awesome game. I'm super stoked to show you guys all of the amazing components and options and things that you can do in this game. It is truly a treasure, and I'm excited to jump in and show you this amazing sandbox style pirate high seas adventure where really the quests and the journey that you go on are entirely up to you. So let's jump in and start collecting our gold coins. Put on your eye patch, get your saber, and get ready to have some high seas hijinks in Shiver Me Timbers. Shiver Me Timbers puts you in the captain's seat of your own vessel, where you and up to 4 other opponents will be set out on a various and grand quest for revenge, for fortune, for fame, ultimately for glory. You'll be competing as a disgraced captain pilot who's lost your entire family to various problems, whether they've been kidnapped by pirates or sold into slavery or just lost to the sea itself. You'll be looking to reclaim your lost family members, fight incredibly powerful sea monsters that you can summon onto the map, pirateer and collect merchant vessel ships that will bring you glory and infamy on the open seas, or perhaps even just be a humble trader, moving around the various islands on the board and selling your goods, rum, sugar, and cocoa, and making a killing in gold coins while doing it. You'll be set out on various quests that are laid out at the bottom there that you can see. These are random. Every game is going to be very different with the quests that you're set out and the challenges that will be set before you. But how you go about those challenges, it's entirely up to you. You could choose to work with the governor and kind of be the king's hand, the king's dog, depending on how you want to look at that, doing missions for the government, trying to quell the pirate insurrections and bring law and order to the islands. Otherwise, you could choose to be a pirate yourself, running and collecting all of the merchant vessels on the sea trade routes and stealing their resources for yourself. Or, if you're brave enough, even collecting and raiding all of the various fortresses that are set up around the islands. You can raid them for their great amount of wealth and treasure directly if you're powerful and strong enough to do so. You could set to unlock the occult spells that are on the islands to sway the tides, the winds themselves to your credit. You could go to seek your lost family and reclaim them from the travesties that have befallen them. Or you could even try to find a soulmate in all of the chaos that is here. All of these are viable options for you. You can even go treasure hunting. What pirate game would be complete without treasure hunting? There's a million ways that you can earn victory points in this game, glory, in the game of Shiver Me Timbers, and how you go about it is entirely up to you, and that is what makes Shiver Me Timbers so special, is that it is a very modifiable, open world, sandbox style game, and I'm really excited to jump in and showcase all of the things that you can choose to do in this game. So here in just a minute, we'll zoom in and we'll look at a particular player area and talk about some of the options and customization there, but I do want to talk about a few kind of overworld structures first, and then we'll jump in. So as you can see here, this is the map that we have built. This map is random. It is built by the players every time you play the game. All of these little trade routes are removable and movable and will be adjusted throughout the game. Every time you play, you may have a very different map. And as you go, sea routes may change. Routes may be picked up, may be moved elsewhere, making your transition and routes around these various islands different depending on how the game progresses and how you play. You'll be using your speed and the wind itself to help you move around to the various islands, doing the missions and quests and things that you want to set up for and accomplish throughout the game. You'll be stopping at these large-scale islands to pick up wares, pick up missions, or interact with the various decks that are on here. You'll see there are 4 decks. There's a green deck, a black deck, a red deck, and a yellow deck. We'll talk about those briefly, and then we'll zoom in on the player area. The green deck is going to give you spells. Spells are kind of these special abilities, occult actions that you can do to influence other players or mess with other players, or even summon the great sea serpent or kraken for you to try and fight and defeat. More on that later. You can try to hire crew from the black deck here. They're going to give you special powers and very amazing abilities that you can play even out of turn. Over here we have the gold deck. Anywhere on the island you can start to look for hints about treasure. We'll look at treasure hunting in a second, but treasures are incredibly valuable resources that also give you special abilities. They take a little bit of time and effort to find, but they're definitely worth the effort and risk. Down at the red deck we have missions. These are missions from the government or secret objectives even that you may have for yourself. Some of them will be public information, some of them will be secret, and you'll be using those to again gain additional victory points as you set out around the world of Shiver Me Timbers. Let's go ahead and zoom in on a particular player area and talk about how the game is played from the perspective of a singular player. You'll again notice your ship is very customizable, and that's a huge part of the game, but every aspect of Shiver Me Timbers is asymmetric and gives you freedom. Nothing in this game feels constricting, and that's something that I really like and enjoy. So let's go ahead and zoom in there, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll look at some of the various components and aspects of this game. Here we have everything that would be in a particular player area in the game of Shiver Me Timbers. You have your main player board here, which is going to hold all of the, hopefully, family members, treasure, and gold that you'll be finding and generating throughout the game of Shiver Me Timbers. Again, I'll talk about these at the end of the video, but you'll notice these amazing coin structures that they have. These are the metal component upgrades, but the gold is broken into 100, 500, and 1,000 increments by actually cutting the gold coins into pieces, and I really love that touch. These are super, super nice chunky pieces that really add flavor to the game. You'll also notice you have a little treasure chest here. Every player will get a cloth bag in the base game, but you can upgrade to get these amazing little treasure chests where you will be able to store and hide your treasure and other components to keep them safe from other pirates raiding your ship. Anything that you have on your ship is potentially pillageable if you were to engage in combat with another player. PvP is not a strong aspect of the game, but strategic assaults on other vessels can be a huge aspect to swinging victory in your favor. So again, as I mentioned, every player in Shiver Me Timbers has opportunities to a lot of asymmetric options. In your turn, on a game of Shiver Me Timbers, you're going to have three actions, three things that you can do. You can move, you can try to pick up or buy or sell, trade goods for your stock. You can assault merchant ships or other players. You can hunt for treasure. All these options are really controlled by how strong or how weak particular aspects of your ship is. And I think this is a really intricate element of the game. So here's what we'll showcase. So you'll notice right here we've got these little removable parts. At the start of the game, every player's ship is going to look something like this. You're going to have a speed of 3, which is determined by your sails, a strength of 3, which is determined by your cannons plus your base of 1 for your ship, and then a hull capacity of 3. And you'll notice these little hulls will move to showcase what types of goods your particular vessel is carrying, and you can buy and sell those. Every aspect on your ship is customizable. You can purchase upgrades, increasing your speed if you want to slot in a better sail so you can get around the islands of Shiver Me Timbers quicker. You could add additional cannons so that your strength is higher. Strength is determined by how strong you are in combat with other ships. That affects duels, which we'll talk about in a moment. It also affects how quickly you can find treasure. Strength is very important. You can also open your ship up, watch me not be able to, there we go, and actually increase your hull capacity by adding additional elements to your hull, making your ship actually better as a trader. So you could do something like this and increase the hull capacity of your ship as well. So your ship can be quite amazing if you're able to buy and purchase all of the upgrades that are available for your vessel. So again, I talked about freedom and asymmetry in the game. Of course, you can see how that is reflected in your ship and your ability to modify it, but also you're going to have a talent at the very start of the game, and you're going to pick one of these 6 potential options, and that's going to be your specialty or your talent. You can look through these, but basically they're all going to be specific, nuanced abilities that are going to help you travel faster, be better at fighting other opponents, finding treasure, selling items at increased value. There's all kinds of really awesome options that will help you choose your strategy and chart your path in this game. Also, the location that you start on the game board is important there. As I mentioned, there are 6 islands. You can choose to start at any of those islands, gaining potentially resources if you want to start being a merchant and selling things. You could start at locations that will give you cards as well, whether that's missions or crew or even the spells that are in the game of Shiver Me Timbers. Where you choose to start your location will determine how you start out in the game, and these will also then be how you will qualify for in-game objectives as well. We mentioned that briefly at the beginning, that there are these kind of large-scale missions or objectives in every game of Shiver Me Timbers that are different. We'll look at those in just a second and how you'll qualify for them, but one thing I wanted to mention is you'll have these secret little markers. Every game in Shiver Me Timbers, you're going to pick 2 of the 5, or maybe less, depending on the player count, of those missions that are available, and you're going to put the marker for the ones that you want to qualify for into your chest. You're going to pick 2 of them secretly and hide them in your chest, and those are going to be the 2 of the however many missions in the game that you're going to be striving for secretly, and you'll get bonus points if you're able to qualify for those particular objectives. So let's go ahead and transition over to the objectives and talk about them, as well as dueling in the game. Here we have what is obviously one of the most important sections of the Shiver Me Timber game, which is your in-game objectives. There are many different objectives that can come up in a game of Shiver Me Timbers, but you're going to randomly shuffle and deal out a certain set of these based on the number of players. So obviously if we had 2 players, we're putting out 3, 3 players, we're putting out 4, 4 players, 5. There's always going to be one more than the number of players. All of these have different objectives, and you can read them, but you'll see some of these. For instance, the Big Game Hunter is going to have you want to successfully hunt the Kraken and the Sea Serpent. Family Man, they're going to want you to rescue 3 of your lost family members. There's all kinds of different objectives, from collecting gold, defeating fortresses, not getting defeated by other players. There's all kinds of various things that you can be striving for in this game of Shiver Me Timbers. Each of these have 2 seals. Seals are victory points in this game, so when you see that symbol, that's what you're hunting for, is victory points. When someone qualifies for an objective, first, they're going to put one of their markers on the 10 points. That's going to be 10 victory points for them at the end of the game, plus an additional 5 if this was the particular number or objective that they hid in their treasure chest, as we talked about earlier in the game. That's going to be a way that you could generate additional points. Every other player who qualifies for this objective will stack their tokens on the 5 slot. So multiple people can qualify for this, but they're progressively less valuable as you go. This is also the predominant game end trigger in a game of Shiver Me Timbers, which is once there have been an equal number of these as players qualified for. So once 4 of these have been claimed, that is going to signify the end of the game. Everyone will finish out an additional round of play, and the game will be over. So you'll want to keep track of your opponents and what they're working towards. If you see someone squirreling away a lot of gold, you'll know they're probably working to collect gold, and you may want to try and, I don't know, raid them and take their gold away. There's all kinds of different objectives that will come up that make every game of Shiver Me Timbers, again, very unique and very different. The other thing we need to talk about on this board is this board also has and holds the duel track. Now, duels are a very important aspect in Shiver Me Timbers. They're going to affect how you fight and board merchant vessels, as well as how you may fight with other captains, as well as even fortresses if you're brave enough to try and tackle them. You'll notice here we have this fun little dueling mini that's going to be represented by the red attacker and blue defender section of the board. We'll turn them that way. And what you'll do is whenever you want to raid a vessel, we'll talk about this from a merchant vessel perspective, you're going to look at that vessel and you're going to determine its stats. Every vessel is going to come out with a 1 or a level 2 ship. And you're going to then, when you want to attack that ship or when you land on a space with that ship, you're going to reveal its stats. Every ship has 3 stats. It's going to have its storage capacity, its hull, its speed, and its cannons. All of those things will factor into what you'll be working on or fighting against as you try to raid that ship. Again, you're going to compare that to your vessel's speed and strength. And the way that this will work in combat is you're going to compare your speed. The first thing you'll do is you have the option to potentially gunfight against that ship if your speed is higher than it. You can use an action on your turn to gunfight the ship, and that will deal a damage to the ship, which reduces its strength. And strength is factored in for the next step here. You can gunfight multiple times, again, assuming your speed is greater. Gunfighting is a little more involved if you're playing against another player, but I'll leave you guys to kind of discover that as we play through the game. So yeah, you can gunfight or you can attempt to board. When you board, you're going to evaluate your strength. So in this illustration, we see this particular vessel has a strength of 4. This ship has a strength of 3. You're going to evaluate that on your player board. So we have the attacker that's red and the defender that's blue. You're going to push these minis one way or another based on who has more strength. So in this instance, we see that the defender actually has 1 more strength than the attacker. So we're actually going to be starting at a disadvantage in this case. Duels are how you're going to fight to claim the rewards or the treasure that is on a particular ship, or again, potentially raid another player character and cause them some harm and raid their gold and maybe even steal some of their treasures that they haven't squirreled away in their treasure chest. The way that this will happen is once you've established where you're at on the plank, you're going to be fighting to try and push an enemy captain off of the plank. If we ever, from this position, would move 1 more space backwards, the attacker would lose, and vice versa with the defender. In a duel, each player is going to receive 4 of these duel cards. I've got some examples out here that you can look at. You'll see that some of them are double-sided. They're going to have a little splotch mark that ranges from 1 to 3 damage, and they're going to have kind of the traditional 3 attacks, a medium attack, a high attack, and a low attack. There's also going to be some special cards that are either only for the attacker or only for the defender in a particular match. And we'll talk exactly about what that means in just a second. But you're going to be dealt 4 of these cards that will be in your hand of cards. And then you're going to determine who attacks first. In the traditional rules, it will be the attacker will determine who goes first if the one player or another doesn't have higher speed. So in this case, we see again, we have 3 speed to the defender who has 4 speed. The 4-speed attacker would determine who attacks first. They could let someone else go, or they can choose to attack first. If you are the attacker, you are going to be looking at playing a red action card. When you're the attacker, you're always red. So the attacker would choose to play a red card. Let's say, for instance, they chose to play this high attack card here. The defender then will get to determine if they would like to play a blue card and either try to match, so in this instance, they could match the high attack with a high guard to cancel out the damage. They could play a special defender card, again blue, that may prevent the damage or prevent some of the damage, allow them to draw an additional card, or they can choose to just take the hits. This case, we see it's 3 hits. They would take 3 hits, shuffling them 3 spaces backwards towards the opposite end of the plank, since they're fighting on the plank between these ships. Once that's resolved, roles would switch. So in this case, then we would be the attacker and choose to play a red attack card that would do something. And we would go back and forth until we've either both passed. If you pass, you would either pass if you don't have cards to play, or you can't play a card for some particular reason. Once both captains have passed, or when one of the captains has fallen off one of the sides of the plank, the duel is over. So for instance, if we've pushed the defending captain off the plank, the attacker wins. Vice versa, the defender would win if they push the attacking captain off the plank. Or if we've both passed, we've run out of cards, we would determine on which side of the plank we're at. If the attacker has pushed the captain on the defensive and he's losing, the attacker would win if both players have passed. And again, the same here if the defender has put the attacking captain on the defensive. So that is how duels will work. Duels will again reward you with loot and victory point tokens from merchant vessels that you've claimed or fortresses that you've claimed on the world. And if you've defeated another player character ship, you will also get a victory point token from them. Every player has 1 2-point victory token for raiding them. So raiding the same player over and over is not encouraged, and I love that balancing aspect, but it is worth it to hit a player once if they've not been raided before by any other players. Along with that, you'll also damage their ship, make them lose an upgrade. You will also raid some of the gold and treasures that they have that aren't protected in their particular treasure chest. There's a lot of things that you can do with dueling, but I really love the system as it has a little bit of kind of counterbalance and interplay and strategy, and it plays a huge role in how you'll set yourself up for success in the game of Shiver Me Timbers. And that, in a nutshell, is everything you need to know about Shiver Me Timbers. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and learning how to play this really awesome sandbox style game from Wertflet Verlag. Again, doing my best there, guys. This is an awesome title that I was really excited to play and share with you guys, just because I think it's unique and it brings a lot of cool aspects to one game. I love the modifiable ships and all of the fun that that brings, just wanting to add pieces to it. I love all the different options that you can pursue and the freedom that this game gives you as it just kind of drops you into this world and lets you be free to explore and pursue all of these different ways to win the game, to earn points and win. Lots of beautiful art and lore and structure as kind of just feelings are infused into the missions and the cards, and it's just a really, really fun game. So thank you for checking it out. I hope you enjoyed that. And what did I think about it? Well, as you can tell, I was really excited about it. Overall, very, very positive review of this game. I think that there's a lot of fun packed into this title. I love, again, the ships. I love the upgraded components. We're showing off some of the metal coins here that have just this amazing kind of heft and feel to them. They're really, really nice. And they're actually, the smaller denominations are broken down elements of the bigger coins, which I think is just a really nice touch. It's true to the lore of how pirates divvied and used gold and treasure, and it just adds a really nice feel. We also have these upgraded little treasure chests that you can get as well, where you would store your loot, and those are super nice. The base game comes with these little cloth baggies that are perfectly fine. They're wonderful. They're color-coded to the players. They're very, very nice. But the treasure chest just adds that extra heft and table feel that I just love. I'm a sucker for it. It was fun. But yeah, this game is amazing. I'm really excited we were able to get a review copy. Again, resounding positive review. I love the way that the board is built by the players. Everything is structured but to you. You're able to connect and reconnect and disconnect the sea lanes and change the map throughout the game. I think that's a really cool touch. Dueling and treasure hunting and everything is very nuanced and well thought out, but not so heavy and thinky and brain-burny that you couldn't jump in with any group and have a good time. The last really positive thing that I'll say is I love games that have asymmetry, of course, but also have modular rule components. You can have a nice, simple kind of base level game, or you can add additional elements to the game that make it even more complex, which I think is a wonderful thing, that it's not mandatory, but it's there. It's thought out, and it's an option for you if you want it. I kind of showcased some of that, the win deck that has events that you could add as the rounds progress, the duel deck where I touched on this, but you notice that strength, the cannons, and speed, the sails, are important when you're fighting with other ships, but the hull doesn't seem to do much. There's an added rule where the hull actually would allow you, if you have a larger hull than your opponent, to discard cards equal to the difference and draw new ones. So you could make your duel deck of cards even better, which is nice. So every aspect of your ship can be valuable in that way. There's lots of fun little rules that you can add if you want them that add additional value and nuance and depth to the game, and I think that's wonderful. So overall, this game really kind of falls into that vein of Western Legends style game, which I love, that gives you just this amazing sandbox to play in. There's a thousand ways you can pursue victory, and they're well laid out, they're digestible, they're easy to understand, and it's just a really, really nice game. Additional touches, again, the design, the art, the theme, the lore is all beautiful. The iconography, the key for where you can go and what you can do, is very clear. It's really easy to know what you're able to do at a particular island. They all have these handy dandy little cheat sheets that are with them, I guess, that let you know at a glance, like, oh, that's what I can do at that place. And that makes things really easy to understand. Again, another note that we all care about as gamers, the rulebook. The rulebook is exceptional in this game. It is big, but it is clearly laid out. You know where you're going, what you're looking for, and you can find it, and nothing is shortchanged in the rules. Everything is laid out with illustrations and examples, and it's very clear and easy to understand. I did not struggle to gain and grasp an understanding of every aspect of this game from the rulebook, which is wonderful. It was a breeze to get into and know what I was doing. Another added note, as far as like the negative side of things, I always try to have a few to counterbalance my usually raving love of games. With the map, again, I love that the map is modifiable and changeable, but it was a little bit of a bear to get set up. Maybe that's just me, but as I was building this, it was a little tedious to get every piece lined up just right and make sure that everything kind of stayed. As things moved, like other parts would shuffle and you're trying to get everything connected, but that's a small critique. It is easy to fix, but that is just a thing to be aware of. The only real critique that I have of this game, which is just the nature of the game, is that, as you can see, it's a table hog. This is a 6-foot table. It is quite large, and this is a setup for 4 players, and there's not a lot of space. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but this thing takes up a good chunk of space when you want to play it with all the decks of cards and the player area and just the board itself. This thing is big. It takes up space. This will actually play an additional player. There's a 5th player expansion as well, which is wonderful, but that's even more space that you're going to be taking up. And so it's just worth knowing in the back of your mind, if table space is limited for you, that might be a consideration in Shiver Me Timbers. It's a big game. It's a big boy. He takes up some space. So definitely something to consider. But again, I really love all of the aspects and balance that are thought about in this game. There's no surefire way to win. All of the various ways that you play or the hybridizations between them are all valuable, are all valid ways that you can play Shiver Me Timbers and have a really good time doing it. So if you're a gamer and you're looking for a sandbox style game that is just dripping in quality pirate theme, then Shiver Me Timbers is definitely something you should check out. From my opinion, I would say it's one that you'll really enjoy and have a good time getting to the table. It's really fun. It's unique, it's innovative. Again, I love what Verlag is doing, and I'm excited to see other titles that they produce in the future. Really excited for the content that this company is going to continue to put out. So thank you so much for checking out this review and listening to me talk. I hope that you'll continue to come to Meeple Mountain for all of your board game related content and needs. And as always, happy gaming. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out some of our other Meeple Mountain content. I promise you won't be disappointed. This is Tyler Williams, signing off.